Welcome back to Rooted Exchange. I'm your host, Rachel, and today we're talking about something that sits so quietly inside so many women's lives, and that's the mental load and the unseen work we carry as women. It's the part that no one really talks about. It's the emotional tracking, the remembering, the anticipating, the constant scanning of what needs to get done, who needs what could go wrong, what needs to be prepared or thought about for the week ahead, and really how to keep the whole machine of our lives running. And this is largely invisible work, but it shapes everything that we do. It shapes our days, our bodies, our marriages, and our identities, and our truly our sense of self. And today I wanted this conversation to be shared between two mothers. So I'm thrilled to be joined today by Whitney Mayer. Whitney brings such a unique perspective. She's a veteran and a military spouse. She's originally from California, and her journey has taken her across the world. And today she's embracing life as a stay-at-home mom to her beautiful daughter up on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington. So Whitney, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so before we jump into the heavy stuff or the burnout parts of it, I do want to touch on a piece of this that most moms first notice the mental load in really tiny and forgettable moments. I think for me, it was remembering, when I was going to get to the grocery store, filling out the pediatrician form, and thinking about what food my son might want to eat that day because he is becoming a picky eater. But it was all the little things that were stacking quietly in my mind, and no one really sees that work. And I think oftentimes we don't recognize it as work or something that's building until it becomes really big in our minds. Was there a moment in time that you first realized that you were carrying more than you expected?
Man, I'm not sure the exact moment when I realized of just all the pieces of this ginormous complex puzzle. Things definitely changed when I stopped working and I became a stay-at-home mom, that's for sure. As my daughter became more mobile, that's probably when things got harder and I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's a lot of moving pieces here." And just keeping an eye on her. She's not where I left her in her little rocker, and trying to make sure that the fridge stays stocked, that we don't run out of toilet paper, and just all of those little things that accumulate and add up. It's mind blowing when you really think about it. So
What were some of those tiny tasks or activities that really started to weigh on you?
I think it was probably when she started to eat solid foods, and she needed more than just breast milk, because it's easy when you are the only thing that she needs. And then, of course, you have to start making sure, like, okay, do I have like the appropriate foods for her? Do I have her snacks? And just diapers. I mean, that's a no-brainer right there. But I mean, all of it. It's like, man, it's just this huge iceberg.
For me, there was a moment where I was like, why am I the only one thinking about these things? I was thinking about things for my husband. And that was really a shifting point for me when I started realizing that I was trying to anticipate moments for him as well. When did it feel like it was too much, or the weight of all of those little things were noticeable?
I think it really came to a peak when, and I'm not sure if there's like a connection in this, but like hormonally, but when I stopped breastfeeding is when I felt like everything was just daunting. And that's when I would get more overwhelmed by all of those things. Because at first I adopted this mindset of like, I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm just going to be flexible. Whatever needs to be done, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to, I don't want to think too hard about it or think too much about it. My husband, he's gone a lot for work. His job, that's just the nature of it. He's gone quite a bit. And so I do a lot of solo parenting. And so the shared workload, it's not he helps where he can. I do a lot of things by myself, and I have to learn how to just be independent and depend on myself. I don't have family nearby, so it finds its own challenges. So I just have learned that if my house were a business, I run it. It's my household. I have to do I have to do pretty much everything. And when my husband does, when he is home, he helps. He's great. He's not, he wants to help. He knows, he sees it, he gets it. When he's home on the weekends, he's cooking, he's helping out. But when it comes to just grocery shopping, cleaning, scheduling appointments, thinking about future appointments that are going to be needed, like that's all me. And it's just always been that way. But he retires in a few years, so that will be changing.
The countdown begins.
Who's counting?
Yeah, I love how you just likened this to a business. I don't think a lot of us think about it in terms of that, but really we are project managers and CEOs of taking care of our families.
Personal chefs.
And yeah, all of the above, multitasking, many hats all at one time. And there is an expectation or an unspoken expectation that we can carry all these things, Nick, but it's also a lot. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by all of those things all at once?
All the time. All the time. Like every day, probably. And it comes in waves. Sometimes things are just more hectic and more things need to get done than usual. And then sometimes it's really chill and it's a really nice break. It's like the universe being like, you needed this. You don't need to go buy a bunch of stuff or stock anything. And the house is really not that bad. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever have to shift your perceptions around what that looks like when you became a mom?
Yeah, I think I had all these expectations of what motherhood would be like after 48 hours with my daughter. I was like, oh, she's going to be the type of baby that I can't put down or else she just screams. So I very quickly shifted my mindset and defaulted back to this, like, just going to go with the flow because I obviously have no idea what I'm doing and I just kind of got to wing it and just figure it out as I go. And that has actually been very beneficial for me to just not like lower my expectations where like I don't expect anything, but like just try to be reasonable and realistic, really, with just all of it, and flexible. Because you can't predict anything. You don't know what's going to happen. Some days my child wakes up and she's super cooperative and it's just like, it's a great day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, everything's amazing. And then the next day she's like, I'm not wearing pants. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We can't leave the house. That's great. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Some days it's like you're eating soup with a fork. That's what I say. Like, it's cool. Everything's fine.
It's all good. We touched on it a little bit, but I do want to dig into, this idea around motherhood. When I was younger, I feel like I was really observant around how society treats mothers. And even with that knowledge, you can't really understand it until you become a mother and the pressures and emotion that comes with being a mom. And one thing I've noticed is really the impossibility around the double bind. And I was very lucky that I got to spend the first 6 months of my son's life, being at home. Then when I went back to work, there was a lot of judgment that came with that as well. Being able to balance having a career and taking care of my son, taking care of my family in all those ways. And I felt that for myself as well. Suddenly I was missing moments in my son's life that I don't get back. He grows every day in those little things, but it made me realize really there's no version of motherhood that our culture, at least in America, that we fully honor. And there are assumptions on both sides of that from working moms or stay-at-home moms that are really harsh judgments. And sometimes some of the harshest judgments come from ourselves and the pressures that we put on ourselves internally to show up for ourselves and our families. Have you ever felt judged or maybe put a little pressure on yourself for being a stay-at-home mom and what that looked like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally feel like I've ever been judged by anyone else for being a stay-at-home mom except by myself. So I feel very guilty a lot of times that I'm not working and that I'm not, contributing and helping with, the financial situation and whatnot. I'm very lucky that I am able to stay home, but part of me just I miss I miss contributing. And so I did go back to work for about 30 minutes after maternity leave. I made it 30 minutes and I said, no, this isn't for me. So yeah. I think that it I would have been fine if I had just stuck it out and, but I couldn't. But I sometimes I wish I had because I think that I see a lot of my friends that did go back to work and I feel like their mental health, like they get that break and they got to like preserve a piece of themselves too. And I envy that a little bit, but I don't think anyone's ever judged me except myself.
Did you always envision yourself being a stay-at-home mom, or is that something that came about as you went through pregnancy?
Yeah, no, so actually when I got out of the military, I was studying wildlife sciences at NC State and I was trying to specialize in apex predators and I was kind of focused on wolves. But anyways, I found out that I was pregnant with my daughter the day before I left for a summer program in Montana, and it was like the coolest program ever. And I had every intention on going back to school, like not really taking any breaks or anything, but I was so sick
Mm.
during pregnancy. I was like just so sick. And then, of course, I had Addie and I had every intention on going back to school. And then I shortly learned after that I couldn't put her down. She was like never put down. She would just scream and scream and scream. So my life has been totally like that whole part of my identity is just, I'm like, I'll get back to you. I promise. I
Mm.
promised myself. I'm like, I will get back to that at some point. So that was, I was working and, going to school. But yeah, I did not plan on being a stay-at-home mom. I knew I didn't want to be in the army with children. I knew that much. I got out because I did want to have children, but it seemed too complex with the nature of my husband's job.
As you think about that transition from your career aspirations and moving into transitioning to a stay-at-home mom, is there something that you wish people knew or understood about being a stay-at-home mom?
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes I feel like people, especially people that I've met since I've been a mom, like people just think like friends that I've made, like they don't even know who I was before. Like I was so much, you can be more than just a mom. And even though being a mom is awesome, it's cool, like I'm a cool mom. Not really, but uh gross, cringe. But yeah, yeah, I wish that people could accept more that moms, we have many hats, we have many faces, we have other things about us that make us more interesting than just chasing around kids all day. And we have hobbies and interests that we hope to get back to one day.
Yeah, it's a fine balance. It is one of the bigger things that I wrestle with. Maybe about a year after my son was born, I had a moment one morning where I was just looking at myself in the mirror and I was like, I don't even know who that person is. who
Yeah, that's
who
so
is she?
real. That is,
Who is she? What does she do? And I think it's a part of motherhood. I don't feel lied to, but I don't know if anyone has really expressed to me or been vulnerable enough to share that this you bring this beautiful being into the world and suddenly you get to look at yourself different. And it's not a dramatic, it's not like I'm a completely different person, but you evolve in what you think about and what you like. And also some of those things don't go away. There's things that I missed going out and seeing friends, especially when he was really little and even transitioning to rec. We don't feel like I had time for anything, but I missed social interaction. I missed being able to just leave the house
Yeah.
whenever I wanted to.
Oh gosh.
And I felt
That right
I was
there.
so wrapped up in being, my son's mom, being a wife to my husband, just being the keeper of everything. But, it was what you're talking about. There's also like these moments of flashes where I feel more like myself. And then,
Settled. Like
yeah,
in a good way, settled, comfortable,
exactly.
fulfilled.
Do you ever feel like you were not disappearing into motherhood, but there was a moment in time where maybe you felt lost or behind the scenes, like there's a version of you that is missing?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I feel like I struggle with that actually, quite a bit. I'm desperately trying to incorporate the parts of myself that, like the parts of my identity from before motherhood into this new chapter of my life. And I do that by trying to get outside. We live on the Olympic Peninsula and we are just surrounded by trails. And that's what I love to do. I love to be outside. I love me and my husband. We used to go hiking and backpacking and we did all sorts of fun stuff, and things are different now. Things are very different and we can still go outside, but we have a 2.5-year-old. And so it looks very different than it used to.
Yeah.
We're not going to be like hiking up Mount Eleanor. We're just kind of, trying to help her not become like us. We're hoping that she'll like to be outdoorsy and go do things outside so that as a family, one day we can jump back in and we can kind of pick up where we left off. And it'll just be better, Why can't it be better? Why can't we have our cake and eat it too?
Are there any parts of that have felt the hardest to reconnect with?
I think I find it really hard to be kind to myself and give myself grace with all the changes that's happened to my body and my life, my lifestyle. And sometimes it feels daunting. I used to like to be active and I like active, like working out, and then I'd come home and just
Mhm.
big chilling. Love to chill and hang out. Like was big into just binge watching, like working out, doing all my stuff during the day, and then at night just, And now things look very different, and I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Just giving myself grace and reminding myself that I'm not like doing nothing. Because sometimes it feels like that, and you feel like you're doing everything and nothing at the same time because the amount of effort you put into like running your household, it's it's actually shocking how much effort you have to put into running a house that is kind of clean. Just to getting it kind of clean. And you're like, what is this all for? Like, I used to be so much more productive, and I'm actually so much more productive right now. I'm not seeing the same results. Does that make sense?
I want to name that thing because I think that it resonates with moms all over the world, right? Is that productivity. We have a standard for what it should look like. And also the productivity is now in a little human and not in the things, not that it's not in the things around us, but the things around us take a little bit of a backseat. And so maybe it's helpful to say, like, how has that shifted for you? It doesn't have to be all things, all the things of your home, but I think for me it was like I'm okay with the basket of laundry that's going to sit on the
Yeah.
floor for a week instead of making sure that it gets done and folded and put away. I know that it's clean, it's there. We can just pull things out of it, which was very difficult for me at first. Like I felt like that was part of the productivity. I'm like, my home is messy because I have piles of clean laundry that I haven't put away yet. And also making sure that I would rather spend that time with my kiddo doing something for his learning, something, a memory that we're going to create together was certainly more of a priority for me than making sure that the clean laundry was folded and put away right when it came out of the laundry.
That's isn't it funny how just it's back to, you just kind of lower your expectations and take the wins where you can and be flexible.
Yeah, was there any moments like that for you that kind of stand out if you think about how your expectations have changed over time?
Yeah, I have so the whole toy situation, and I feel like a lot of women are going to be able to relate to this. One, I don't know why my child has so many toys. Like who gave her these? And I keep saying I'm going to get rid of them all, but not all of them, but I got to go and like purge, and I never do. But I used to like just get totally freaked out by just the amount of toys all over like all over the place, and I'd constantly pick them up and just whatever, you know. And then probably about I'd say like 6 months ago, I just kind of was like, you know what? Screw it. Like I'll do it before I go to bed every night. Like I'll pick it up, just so the robot vacuum can do its thing. But yeah. But just like letting go of that and being more realistic that, hey, she's a toddler. Like she's just gonna she's a tornado. She's gonna go through, she's gonna make messes. You can constantly exert yourself to keep up with that, or you can just accept it and then clean it up for once or twice a day, whatever. And yeah. And once I kind of did that, I was like, okay, I feel much better about this, and I don't care. I will stand by that. My husband is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you let her do this all day, and I'm like, that. So yeah,
These are the moments I felt like being the project manager of our household with no description. You don't get to clock out, you're just there. And also asking your partner for a break and needing a moment where you can not be a mom, not be a wife, not hear noises for a short amount of time to just recharge your battery. So I'm curious, you know, how has that played out for you and your partner? How has it shown up?
so with my husband, I feel like he's gone like he's gone for months at a time, pretty regularly. So it's hard because it's hard for me because when he does come home, I have a rhythm, and it's hard for me to ask for help, and it's hard for me to let him help until we kind of like get back in that rhythm. So it's constantly fluctuating. And I know that's not everybody can relate to that, but when he has been home for a little while and when we've got a good rhythm going, it's still hard. He's gone weeks early in the morning, comes home later. Um, and there's definitely times when I just have these meltdowns, like after she goes to sleep, and I don't know where it comes from. It just is like it's the waterworks start and it takes so long to stop. And he does help where he can. Of course he goes and works and stuff, so he's limited on what he can do with helping, but he's always happy. Like on the weekends, he takes over cooking. He, lets me go upstairs and just sit in silent like a weirdo because that's just what I want. I just want to be left alone for like an hour or so. And he, hangs out and he's happy to do it. Like I said, I really am very excited for him to retire, but at that point, I'll probably go back to work.
That brings up, a different side of it, that being a stay-at-home mom, there's also a loneliness factor. And especially when you have these months at a time where your husband is gone, you don't necessarily get that same outlet. You don't have a moment where you could just, I need 5 minutes, I need 10 minutes, I need the thing to ask for that break. How do you find, especially when your husband is gone, find those moments to recharge, because that mental load, that physical load, they just keep stacking.
It does,
How do
yeah.
you find those breaks?
Nap time, even though that's coming to an end. Sad. But sometimes I don't get them. I don't. And it's amazing how strong we are as women and how we're even able to do that because if you like right now, the idea of not getting any breaks, it seems like literally the worst thing imaginable. But when I'm in the moment and when I have to like when I just can't have any breaks, I don't have any support. Or if, I do have a neighborhood girl who comes and hangs out with Addie here and there. And if she can't babysit, if I'm not able to utilize her, then sometimes I just don't get those breaks and I survive. We recently got a gym membership though, and she goes and hangs out at the kids zone. And I will say that it is worth it every penny. Oh, those are my breaks, I guess.
I was one of those people who working out was something I did, but it's not something I loved. And after having a child, it's my favorite part of my day.
Isn't
It's
it?
part of the thing that you can just literally turn your brain off and you're like, tell me what to do.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's why you always see so many like moms, and I don't know if they're moms. I just assume they're moms because of like the age group. I see it like the spin cycle classes and stuff, and I'm like, the moms are like before I had kids, I'd like be lifting weights, and I'd be like, oh, all the moms are at the cycling class right now, like, I get it now.
Yeah, because you are the primary caregiver in your home. Do you feel open to share any of those moments where it feels heavy with your partner to even just verbally kind of release some of that tension?
Yeah, I think that as the primary caregiver of my daughter and like, pretty much the boss of the house, no big deal. But yeah, I you have to just it's really hard to find that balance of you're like your mom, you're someone's wife, but you're also like you need to make time for you as well. So like how do you be the emotional regulator for like your little one? And also sometimes your husband because I mean, they're human too and they have stressors in their life and their job and there's just like how do you manage it all? And I don't think anybody's perfect at it, but I think we're all just whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a working mom, I think that women we're like the rock. We're we wear many hats and just trying to keep things balanced in the house and maintain like the spark in your relationship and be there to support your husband and also be there to take care of your child. It's a sacred job.
You're just starting to touch on this idea of having to balance so many things. I think personally, I find that I always ask myself what more I can do instead of accepting that we're already doing a lot. Do you feel guilt or pressure or the need to do more in your house?
Yes, all the time. And that's honestly why I stay off the internet because we see all these like fake, like just not real, they're real people, but they're not real people. Their houses are immaculate. They have like 8 kids and they have like a six pack. And I'm like, what? And I feel a lot of pressure and I do tend to be my own worst enemy sometimes. And I get in my head and I try to just, be chill, be realistic about things, but it's hard. I'm a human and yeah. It's yeah, the guilt that I'm like, oh my gosh, I only gave my kid like microwavable chicken nuggets for dinner and it's so bad for her. I'm like, she'll be fine. She'll be fine, you know? And oh no, like my husband had to eat leftovers for dinner tonight because he'll be fine. Just bringing yourself back down to reality. That's my struggle.
I love that you take a break from social media. I do think, as someone said, I don't know what the quote is, but comparison is the thief of joy. And it's really hard, especially as a new mom. I wanted to make sure that I was as prepared as possible. So I have done a lot of in my life learning what other moms do and asking other moms what they do. And there is a million different ways to raise a child. There's a million different ways to refill your cup. and trying to find the right thing for me. But in doing that, the conversation is really focused on, well, I'm not doing these certain things. I should do more of this, or I need to do less of that. I need to push harder around all these things. And that it's very much an internal judgment meter that I have created for myself. But aside from staying off of social media, how do you manage your internal judgment meter?
It's hard because I'm super judgy, I guess, for myself. But I'm not. It's just it's something that I work at regularly. It's something that and it's funny because I sometimes I'd be really hard on myself, and then I just totally don't care. Like it's all, just for like a short period of time. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. Like I won't wash my hair for like God knows how long. And I don't do the floors for who knows how long, and I'm just like, I don't care, whatever. And then it just all builds up and I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is out of control. And then it kicks me into high gear. It's a cycle. And it's something I work on to just give myself grace. Nothing is perfect. This is the season of life. And one day, I really, really hope that I'm going to look back and laugh about all these like little things that I'm so worried about, And I also try not to, and this is really hard, but I try really hard not to get in my head about all these invisible tasks because you can get lost in it. It's a lot, and it gives me anxiety just even thinking about it. Like it's part of life. It's what you have to do to get through it. But don't get so fixated on it that you're missing all the beautiful pieces. Like the cute things that your toddler's doing right now. Maybe there's things going on that you're like, this is driving me crazy. But also they're like super cute and they're like repeating everything you're saying, whether it's good or bad.
It's, an important part of this conversation that I really want to make sure we talk about is that piece that there is this little beautiful human or humans running around the house and, letting go of some of these tasks and some of these pressures that we put on ourselves or that are put on us by the people around us. I think kind of snapping out of the laundry list of things to do helps be more present in the moment. But is there anything that you do specifically to turn that little voice off, or the little task person, to be more present in the moment?
I get out of the house. I go for a walk and I go with my daughter for a walk. And by walk, I mean not very far, but we're out there for a while. She just, I do things that bring me joy with her, things that have always made me happy that I can do with her. It just makes it like happiness overload. There's nothing more adorable than her like pointing out ferns and, picking up twigs and, looking at moss. And she's like obsessed with mushrooms. It's so cute. Just doing something that matters, like something that is going to like stick in my brain, because I'm sure that when I'm like an 80-year-old woman, I'm not really going to be thinking about all the laundry I had to do. I'm going to be thinking about spending time with my baby and doing things that are good for both of us and helping her development and hopefully helping her turn into like a really cool human. So
I have a lot of perfectionism in my mind that I try to recreate in real life, and it's not reality. But it's creating these little permission slips for myself that I don't have to do all the things. I don't have to anticipate everything. Sometimes that's the best part of life, is letting the things happen as they are meant to, and also that I can ask for support when needed without really apologizing. That's easier said than done. I think our brains are wired to anticipate. Is there anything that you're learning to let go of right now in this season?
yes, actually, I am trying to learn how to, I've been trying to learn how to let other people help me, but I'm trying to learn how to trust other people. so that we can start letting Addie's wings fly a little, like spread a little bit. And by that I mean like maybe going and doing like a sleepover at like a family member's house when we, so maybe my husband and I can go and like have like a weekend away or something. We haven't done that yet, and it's a big deal. That is, I think that a lot of women are better about that, and they do that much earlier in their child's life. And I've never had the courage to do it, but I'm realizing that it's it's good for us, but it's really good for her and for her development, and so that way she doesn't build these like unhealthy attachments to us so that she can be away from us and she knows we're coming back. And heaven forbid if there were ever an emergency and one of us needed to like leave to go take care of a family member or something, worst case scenario, like she'll be okay. And I know she'll be okay. So that is what I'm currently trying to plan and work on. And it freaks me out, but we're doing it.
I think we often associate mental load with the things that need to be done. And I thank you for sharing that piece with us, because I also agree that there's a part of the mental load of actually taking time from your kid. And that resonates with me a lot. My husband and I also still haven't gone anywhere without our child. I will say what we have done is I will go away for 2 days or he will go away for 2 days. So there's always a parent home, but it's not the same, right? Like I want to spend quality time with my husband sometimes and just feel like a couple again, and, not just be mom and dad constantly. But it is a big part of our life. My son is 2.5, and thinking about how that we've never had in 2.5 years, not having that time alone with your partner, it's a hard piece to also accept and trust people with your baby. And thinking about what that means to you and how that feels in your body is a big one.
It feels so unnatural, but I know it's not. I think it's important for all couples to be able to do that. And it's just so good for your relationship, I imagine, you know?
As you think about that and building that trust, what would be the thing that would help you right now ask for that?
I was talking on the phone with my sister yesterday, and she has 4 children, and she's a great mom. She's she's amazing. I don't know how she does it. I'm like, she's like my role model. Um, but she has 4 boys, ages 15 to 6. So she's done it all. And she now has like all this free time on her hands, and she's like, please bring her to my house. Like, you guys can go away for a weekend. Like, I would love nothing more. And I had to be like very straightforward with her, and I know that she would totally receive it and it would be fine. I knew she wouldn't like be offended by it or anything. And I was like, I am really nervous about trusting my child with anyone, because like what if something were to happen? Like, I would need you to pretty much like be with her always, like, because she's got older boys and the door's always opening and closing. And I have this like horrible fear of just Addie escaping and getting lost. I don't want to think about it. But she was totally supportive. And I think for me, what needs to happen is I need to be very like direct and blunt and just open, and not try to beat around the bush, just be very direct in what I like. This is what I need. This is how I need it to go. I am just going to be a mess. So the message was received. She totally understood. And I knew she would, because she's that kind of mom too.
Do you feel like that is part of the mental load that you carry, is being able to vocalize those fears out loud to create not even a boundary, but create an environment where that could even be a possibility of taking time away from your kiddo?
Yeah, I think so. Vocalizing myself, but I also have a hard time with control. And I've never been a control freak, like ever. But since having a child, it's more of like a protective thing. I just I feel like I am, and I know this isn't true, but I feel like I am the only one who can protect her. And I do trust my husband. I know he can protect her. Like, yeah, 100%. But I feel like giving up that control makes everything inside of me like scream. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't like entrust her to someone else. Yeah, I can't give them that. No way, but it's time. So, yeah, it's time.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to the preciousness that or the realization of life when you become a mom
Oh yeah.
that I think even men do feel, but
Yes.
just they that we have a deeper connection. We carry them, we hold them, they are part of us. We hear their heartbeats and are more sensitive to their emotions and those shifts that happen. But being able to even allow that in sometimes for our partners, let alone external factors, is a very difficult. It's a very difficult task, and I don't think we give enough space to that. That it is hard to entrust care in other places. It is a very difficult process, even every day, even 2 years down the road now, to think about and make sure all of the things that you want for your child are there, and it's not going to be perfect, right? And I wish that I could just give everyone a map of what it looked like and they would follow it to a T. And, people are human. And that's probably the hardest part for me has been to also accept that.
Yeah.
You can give as much as you want and it still won't be the way that you did it. And trying to find some sense of, well, choose whether or not that's something you can be okay with. And also, if it is, how do you accept it in for what it is and what your child will get to experience in that moment. But every day is hard.
Yeah. It's That's very well said.
As we wrap up, I am picturing the moms listening in their cars or folding laundry or maybe stealing a moment in the pantry to eat a snack because she hasn't eaten that day. But maybe there's, the moms who are carrying the weight quietly or feels tired in a way that, sleep's not going to fix. It's really being able to speak life or identify and recognize that this is a tough job. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a working mom, whether you're somewhere in between those two things, version of a mom, it's a lot. And so, Whitney, for that mom out there who's listening, the one who thinks that she has to hold it all together because she always has and probably always will. But, is there one piece of advice or insight or wisdom that you would want her to know?
Yes. I think it's important in this whole journey of motherhood to know that sure, it's hectic, it's chaotic, but it's so beautiful and it goes by so fast. And I know we've all heard that, but you don't realize how fast the baby phase goes until you're past the baby phase. And this is just a season of life. And within this season, there's so many different stages. And the worst and best part about motherhood is that every bad thing in a stage will pass, but also every good thing in a stage will pass too. And I think that's why, you know, being flexible, just going with the flow and trying not to be too hard on yourself, why it matters so much. Because it really does. It goes by too fast and it's exciting, but also heartbreaking. And I don't even know how to describe it. But if you're listening, I bet you 100% know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I just want to close on the fact that the thing that you said earlier is really sticking with me is that, you know, these these tasks, these activities, these pressures we put on ourselves are just small potatoes at the end of the day. So trying to bring ourselves back to being present with our kiddo, getting outside, doing something fun, and just remembering that those things will come back to you. You will always have more things to do at the end of the day. But for whatever that's worth, savor that little experience with your kiddo in that moment and kind of let the other stuff fall off. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Rachel.